Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a review of the novel Dark Witch that we're actually going to compare to
Charmed, Secret Circle, A Discovery of Witches, and Witches of East End.
all the movies and TV shows about magic that you guys have liked that we've done on this channel so far, and we are really happy today because I have a wonderful guest joining me today. Everyone say hi to Emily Mims. Emily Mims is a romance novelist with an impressive career. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Today we're going to talk about Dark Witch by Nora Roberts. Emily really liked this book. I did not. Dark Witch starts 800 years in the past in Ireland. Saoirse is the Dark Witch who lives in this small village in Ireland, and Cabhan is this evil wizard, sorcerer, murderer, sexual assaulter, horrible, just all across, like the worst person ever. And he is in love with her and wants her, but he doesn't just want her, he wants every single woman I think he's ever seen. Cabhan murders Saoirse's husband. At that point, she decides she's going to send her children away to protect them, and she's going to fight this guy, and she kills him. So good for her. I liked the scene where she brought him down when she killed him.
She passed the Dark Witch on to the three of her children. Here we are 800 years later. Brianna, Iona, and Connor, they are the Dark Witches now.
This is the problem that I had with this story. Iona just seemed like, to me, she just seemed like such a Mary Sue character. Everyone loved her, everyone loved everything she did. As soon as she put one foot in the door, and everyone just fell in love with her the moment she stepped into a room. She meets her cousins, and they instantly fall in love with her. Her boss loves her, her co-workers love her, but my problem with the way this was handled is the moment she meets Brianna, Brianna agrees to, okay, you can come and you can stay with me and live with me, and I'm going to teach you everything about witchcraft. But in the original Charmed in the 90s, early 2000s, Shannon Doherty's character was killed off, and then they brought in another sister, Paige. So Prue died, Paige comes in, and they met a new sister that they didn't know they had. It took almost a full season to transition this character into the family, into the house.
So you're not even going to consider this?
Nope.
Why not? Because if it was that easy for you guys to barge into my room all the way across town, imagine how easy it would be if I actually lived here. Okay, could you stop looking at the book for a second?
No, it's my book too.
If you lived here, you could look at it all the time.
You know, she lived in town, and then slowly she moved in, and then slowly they worked through their issues, but there was a lot of like weird anger and resentment over the fact that a new relative you've never met pops up.
Hi. I'm Miss Yvonne. I think I'm your sister.
In the new Charmed, the sister that was put up for adoption comes in, and by the end of the first episode, they're all bonded. I don't think that relationships work like this. With what happened with Iona and Brianna. Iona comes in, and Brianna's like, "Oh, welcome. Come into my home. You can live here rent-free, and I will teach you everything I know about witchcraft." And they just instantaneously love the main character. I imagine, like, in real life, this would be like somebody coming into my house or coming into your house and being like, "I'm a long-lost relative. I'm coming in. I'm going to live here rent-free. Isis, you're going to teach me everything about how to run a YouTube channel. Emily, you're going to teach me everything you know about how to be a writer. And I'm going to live here rent-free. Aren't you happy to see me? Are you here? Then I'm going to be here." And I was just like, this is not, I'd be like, there's the door. You know, there's the door. In real life, my problem with how the relationships were formed, I just didn't care for the way that was written. I think this could have been so much better. For example, in the Secret Circle, there are all these hereditary witches, and they have to figure out they don't like each other. One girl's a control freak, one is a wild child. They don't really fit well together, but they have to work out their issues to be together, because they are hereditary, and each one of them has their own magic that they need to bring to the table to make the circle of the Coven of Witches complete. So they had to work out their issues, or they would die. But in this, there were no issues. It was just, I love you, immediately.
Brianna, I don't think Brianna was all that eager to take her, but they know they have this fight coming. And they know she's not ready because she came from a background of benign neglect. If you read, go back. It's very subtle. Now, this is a Nora Roberts characteristic. She's not real overt sometimes. It's very subtle. There was a phrase there that really grabbed me. I was a minor disappointment to my parents, which is worse than being a major one. In other words, they didn't care enough about her to be majorly disappointed in her. The only one that she really ever got any attention from was the grandmother. So she's coming in, and yes, there could have been a lot more conflict. But again, this is not the way Nora Roberts writes her books. Nora writes a very subtle story, and Brianna takes her in the way she does. She quizzes her first. Now, are you ready for this? Are you really and truly sure you want to do this? Because if you don't, you get on that plane and go back where you came from. If I'd been Iona, I might have been back on that plane. You know what I mean? If you come, she didn't invite her. She just said, if you come, you're going to live here. They know she's their key, and she's the only way they're going to be able to fight the bad guy. And they tell her it's a risk. It's not done in a particularly dramatic way. Page 49, she says, take your week. Connor and I have taken an oath that if the third came, we would accept you. They had already decided when the third one came in, they'd take her in. Their minds were already made up.
I think I would have liked it more if it had been written, like maybe if we had one scene with the mom and the dad in America showing how like dismissive and neglectful they had always been with her.
Yes.
I would have liked that. Then that would have set up, okay, she meets this new family and she's more like so eager to have a found family, and that she's so excited to be here, she's willing to take the risk. I think that would have been better set up for her willingness to stay, even though she has to fight this evil, because she kind of told us that the parents' relationship wasn't great.
We never saw it. You've nailed that one, and that's one of the hallmarks of writing a good book: show, don't tell.
Yes.
And you've heard one before. You've heard that one before.
Oh yeah, my husband has a master's in creative writing. He's been drilling that into me for 20 years. Yeah. Even if they had to deal with that, and even if they knew they had to accept her right away, I just think it could have been so much more dramatic if you had focused on...
They don't know her.
Yeah, they don't really know her, and it just would have been more awkward. But it's not just the family. My other problem with this book is like everyone loves her, not just her family. She starts this new job. There's no conflict with any of her coworkers. She meets this guy that she falls in love with, and there were several times there's a sentence like, her life was perfect. Her life was perfect. She was so happy. Besides these dreams that she has where the villain is coming and he's kind of this looming presence in the background, her life is just written. She's so happy and so perfect. And I think a lot of times some writers will do this, describe the perfect life that they want. And then they're like kind of living this virtual reality fantasy about the life that they want through their writing. But the problem with doing that is like, I think the story starts to get very dull. And that's what I felt like happened here. I like things like, I like family dramas like This Is Us, 6 Feet Under, where we have these very meaty family dramas with a lot of different dynamics going on, complicated family dynamics going on, how they resolve them. Like, I like family dramas like that. The scene where I really started to reading this book was becoming a burden. It wasn't that I just wasn't vibing with it. It was like it felt like homework that I had to accomplish because we agreed to read it for this channel. The scene where they go to a bar and they're all drinking together, and then they decide to go home, and Boyle, the main love interest, gives Iona a ride home. And as they're driving, the evil sorcerer wizard is like in the fog outside the car, taking the shape of mist, and he's toying with Iona in the car, and he's like saying all these horrible things to her, and she's scared, and she turns to Boyle and she's like, aren't you scared? And the guy's driving and he's like, I'm in the car with a witch, it's all good. And I'm thinking, like, you just took all the tension and all the stakes out of the scene and just deflate it like a balloon. Even when there's a chance for some tension, the writer never misses an opportunity for the character or a scene or a situation to tell the main character, Iona, how wonderful she is. It's like, yes, you are the best witchling that has ever witched. You're the best fledgling that has ever fledged. And I'm thinking she's a baby witch. She knows one spell, which is to make fire in her hand. What are you doing? You finally have some good conflict and tension and stakes, and you throw it away to once again, yet again, let us know how wonderful and special Iona is. If we compare it to, like, you read the All Souls trilogy, Diana Bishop and Matthew. There was scenes in that where her magic was so, like, she had been spellbound by her parents, and so she hadn't been practicing her magic her entire life. Suddenly now she's an adult, and she is in a situation where she needs her magic, and so she has to go home, practice with her aunts.
You have to concentrate on what you desire. You feel it, set your power alight.
Oh. There's a lot of urgency because Diana Bishop had been tortured by another witch.
Fighting me, show me what you're hiding inside of you.
Diana Bishop had to get her magic up to a level where she could defend herself. And it was these stakes, and it was rising, and she was always practicing, and then she had to practice to go back in time.
So we're going back to London.
To 1590.
It's time.
In this, I felt like the training of the magic was so blah. Like, there's one scene where they're in Brianna's kitchen and she's teaching her how to, like, use elemental magic, and I thought it was cool the way she brought in, like, the elemental magic, like earth, air, fire, water. I liked the fact that each one of them had their own totem.
Connor was the bird, Iona was the horse, Brianna was the dog.
Witches of East End, one was earth, one was air, one was fire, one was water, and they each had, like, a strong element, and it was written that each one of those elements greatly affected their personality.
Earth, air, fire, water, water, air, air, water.
Fire. You know, the aunt was, like, really fiery, really sexual, really flirtatious, really, like, outgoing, and she had a fire element. They were the embodiment of their astrological signs in that. This, I felt like it was starting to go into that, and I liked that about it, but it was just too slow. The stakes regarding Iona having to learn the magic was so casual.
Eventually they know they're going to need her. It's not,
I know.
It's not urgent, it's like not, in fact, they chose the date that they were going to confront him. They talked about doing it on the equinox, but they said no, that's too soon. They choose the date and they work up to it, and they end up confronting him on either Beltane or the solstice. I don't remember which one. It's under their control. They're the ones that are going to initiate.
The fact that they got to decide when they were going to confront him, again, I felt like that.
That takes it down.
Yeah, it lowers the stakes.
Because it's going to take 3 whole books to confront this. She does. A lot of her paranormals are in trilogies.
Well, if it was going to be a trilogy, then what I would have appreciated is, like, save Caleb for, like, the 3rd book and have the confrontation with him at the end, but maybe he has some minions or followers, or kind of like in Harry Potter, Voldemort wasn't always coming after them. Sometimes he would send his Death Eaters after them. If he wasn't going to be the main conflict in this book and you wanted to save that for the last one, I think this would have been better with a sense of urgency. Have him have, like, a henchman or, you know, associate or something that, like, comes after them first, because maybe he hasn't, like, he was killed, so maybe he's not at his full power. You know, this was done in Harry Potter, like, Voldemort couldn't take full power until, like, really far into the series, and so he kept sending his Death Eaters and, you know, bad wizards after them and stuff like that, but that kept the stakes raised. If it's just casual, like, eventually we'll get around and we get to decide when we want to. I just felt like I needed more conflict.
Well, and I'm going to say this about Nora Roberts' books. The romances are never the focus of the stories. Even though they're sold as romance, they're sold in the romance section, and she's a romance writer. And her romances aren't ever the focus of the books.
I could not get into Iona and Boyle's love story in this because, again, I just felt like there was no conflict. They meet and there's an instant attraction. She asks her cousin, do you like Boyle? And her cousin's like, no. And then she asks all of her coworkers, do you like Boyle? And they're like, no. So it's just like, besides the fact that he's her boss, and I can see how you don't want to get involved with your boss. That is really problematic. That can lead to a lot of problems in your work life. But that wasn't really mentioned. And so then they start kissing, and then there's attraction, and like they're perfect for each other, but they're not together because they can't get together because plot says you got to keep the 2 leads apart.
Well, they got together about halfway through the book, and then they had a squabble, which is frankly kind of artificially thrown in there. I will admit that. The romance was definitely incidental. It was kind of thrown in. And again, even though her books are sold in the romance section, to me they're not true romances, because the focus of the story isn't on the couple.
If you're going to have any romantic elements, I think
do it right.
Do it right. But this, like, even the kiss I had an issue with. Like on page 119, he dropped the kiss with a bang that made her jump. You talk too bloody much. With that, he gave her a yank off guard. She plowed into him and managed no more than a quick oof before he shoved her chin up and took her mouth like a man starving for it. Rough and hard, the kind of kiss that gave her no choice but to hang on. Blasts and booms of the heat assaulted her. It just seems a little bit non-consensual. Then afterwards she said that he yanked me in and kissed me until my brains leaked out my ears and the top of my head blew off. And I'm just like, that is
Didn't
not
like that, huh? Okay.
No! I would not describe that as a situation I'd want to experience. It reminded me of like an ancient Egyptian mummification where they take the brain out of the
Yeah, I read it on the airplane. After an interesting altercation between my seatmate and the flight attendant, a gentleman. And so everybody on the plane was all stirred up. And maybe that's why it seemed more interesting to me the first go round, because I had just dealt with some extremely entertaining drama on the airplane. Well, this girl, she wanted to move seats. Well, no, we can't move seats. This plane's full. And then she thought if she told them she couldn't read and write, that they wouldn't make her sit there, because that's the door to go to, the emergency exit.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, and they had to bring a TSA person in because she wouldn't get off when the flight attendants told her to. I mean, they had to give out free drinks to calm everybody down, because everybody was, not that anybody objected, it was like, free for all. And then up in the front part of the plane, my husband and I couldn't sit together because it was the last minute transfer onto this plane. There was a bunch of frat boys, and he had to listen to frat boys all the way to Hawaii.
My God!
I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, it was hilarious. But
well, I could see after dealing with that much drama, wanting to read a book where the author is like, and then everything was calm and nice.
It was so calm. This book is just all calm, and yeah. Sometimes when you're in the mood, or when I'm in the mood for just a nice, calm, relaxing read, I'll go to Nora Roberts. Sometimes you need a nice, slow read that if you go to sleep on it, it's okay.
As an impressive career, thank you for coming on the channel today.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. And I won't send you any Nora Roberts books for your Christmas.
No, please don't.
I will send you another author.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, everyone, please subscribe, follow Emily, and subscribe to the channel. And bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.